After 70, I thought my wife would never look at me the same way again. In this video, I share what I secretly started doing, how my energy slowly changed, and why my wife started complimenting me again after so many years. Everything is in the first pinned comment below the video. Français après 70 ans. Je pensais que ma femme ne me regarderait plus jamais de la même façon. Dans cette vidéo, je raconte ce que j'ai commencé à faire en secret, comment mon énergie a changé petit à petit et pourquoi ma femme a recommencé à me complimenter après tant d'années. Tout se trouve dans le premier commentaire épinglé sous la vidéo. My name is Charles. I am 73 years old, and the last time my wife truly complimented me before all this, I still had black hair. I am serious. Not those automatic compliments from an old marriage. Not that shirt looks nice, said while looking at the television. I am talking about that different look. That look a woman gives when she starts seeing her man as a man again. Her name is Teresa. We have been married for 49 years. And for a long time, I thought that part of us was gone forever. That night, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, slowly putting on my socks, pretending I was looking for something on the nightstand. Teresa was rubbing cream on her hands in front of the mirror. The room was silent, but it was not a comfortable silence. It was that tired silence of two people who love each other, but have already stopped expecting certain things from one another. She turned off the bathroom light, got into bed, and turned to her side. And I felt that horrible sense of relief. No man admits this, but there comes a moment when he begins to fear his own wife touching him. Not because he does not love her, precisely because he does. Because failing in front of the woman who shared a life with you hurts more than any physical pain. So I began creating distance without realizing it. I went to sleep later. I stayed watching television alone. I invented tiredness, back pain, heartburn, anything. Until Teresa simply stopped trying. And if you are still here in the first minute, then you probably know exactly what I am talking about. I am talking about that instant when your wife touches your arm and you hold your breath, hoping she thinks you are asleep. About the silent shame of loving a woman and still desiring that woman, but feeling that your body no longer follows your mind. After 60, many men enter that silence and never come out of it again. The worst part is that most believe it is just aging, as if the only option were to accept the distance and become your own wife's roommate. But I discovered it was not that simple. In this video, I will tell you what I discovered about circulation, male energy, and a small trick I began using in secret, which changed the way my wife started looking at me again. And before you ask, I left everything in the first pinned comment below this video. You do not need to click now. Just remember this, first pinned comment, because I will return to this subject more than once, and maybe you are listening to this in secret, the way I used to. For years, I thought my problem was psychological. Then I thought it was age. Then I began thinking, maybe it was my fault for no longer taking care of my body. But the truth is that the male body changes in ways almost nobody explains properly. It was one dawn when I began researching. Teresa was already asleep. I sat in the kitchen with a cup of cold coffee and began reading articles about male aging. I am not a doctor. I am just a stubborn old man who did not want to accept that the best part of marriage was over. And the first thing I discovered was circulation. There is a molecule called nitric oxide. I barely knew how to pronounce it back then. But it helps blood vessels relax and allows proper blood flow. And without circulation, a man can love, desire, try, pray. Nothing works right. That hit me hard, because I spent years thinking my problem was a lack of masculinity, when many times the problem was simply vascular. Then came the hormonal issue. My test said normal for age. I hate that phrase to this day, because normal for age often only means a man is declining like everyone else. But total testosterone is not everything. There is free testosterone, there is cellular energy, there is poor sleep destroying recovery, there is abdominal fat messing up hormones, and there is fatigue. Many men think they have lost desire when in truth, they have lost energy. That was when I began finding the same ingredients repeatedly in my research: maca, tribulus, epimedium, fenugreek, saw palmetto, piperine, alpha-lipoic acid. The same names appeared connected to circulation, stamina, and male hormonal support. At that time, I still did not know the complete product. I only knew those compounds kept appearing all the time. Later, I discovered they were all together in a formula called Alpha Vita. The link is in the first pinned comment. I am telling you this now because many men watch videos like this in secret and then cannot find them again. At first, I bought the things separately: maca from one place, tribulus from another, a strange epimedium capsule that looked like it was sold by an underground lab. I looked like a retired scientist trying to rebuild my own youth inside the bathroom cabinet, until I found a formula that brought everything together. 1 capsule a day. Simple. That was when I began the so-called trick. And it was not some secret bedroom move like the title may suggest. The trick was much simpler. I began to stop running away. Because when my energy slowly started coming back, something changed first in my head. I stopped avoiding Teresa. I stopped inventing excuses to sleep late. I stopped pretending I was tired all the time. And that began changing the way she looked at me. Understand this: a woman notices when a man starts feeling alive again. It is not only about the bed. It is posture. It is presence. It is the way he enters the room. It is the silent confidence of someone who is no longer living in fear. After a few weeks, I began waking up better. I walked with more willingness. I felt less of that horrible heaviness in my body after lunch. And one night, Teresa was ironing clothes in the laundry room when she looked at me and said, "You are different." I laughed awkwardly. I asked, "Different how?" She answered, "You seem lighter." That compliment almost broke me apart, because it had been years since she had spoken to me that way. That was when I realized something important. Intimacy begins long before the bed. It begins when a man stops carrying shame all the time. Many men over 70 live shrunken inside their own home. They walk as if apologizing for getting older. They avoid hugs because they are afraid of what might happen afterward. They avoid touch because they are afraid of disappointing. I was exactly like that, until I began taking care of my body differently. And that was when I started studying the ingredients more deeply. Maca caught my attention because it seemed linked to endurance and vitality for centuries. Andean farmers used it long before modern laboratories existed. Epimedium contained a compound called icariin, related to male circulation. Tribulus appeared associated with stamina and hormonal support. Fenugreek appeared in research about energy and male balance. Piperine helped absorption. The more I read, the more it made sense. My body did not need an artificial shock. It needed support. It needed to stop functioning like an old abandoned engine. I left the AlphaVita link in the first pinned comment precisely because there you can see all the ingredients gathered in the same formula. I am not telling anyone to believe in a miracle promise. I am saying to look, read, and understand for yourself. Because that is what I did. And little by little, Teresa began to change too. She started touching my arm again when she talked to me. She started laughing at my bad jokes again. She started waiting for me to come upstairs instead of falling asleep first. One night, I was buttoning my shirt so we could go have dinner at our daughter's house. Teresa looked at me and said, "That shirt looks good on you." It seems like a small thing, but for a man who spent years feeling invisible inside his own marriage, it felt like youth. That was when I understood the real trick. It was not a bedroom technique. It was becoming present again. Because when a man regains energy, confidence, and willingness, his wife feels it before any intimacy even happens. She feels it in the atmosphere of the house, in the way he walks, in the way he looks at her. And that was when the intimate part began improving too. Not in an exaggerated way, not like a lying advertisement, like real life, calmly, with less fear, with more closeness, and mainly without that desperate anxiety that destroys many men. For years I entered the bedroom thinking, I hope I do not fail. After that, I began entering thinking only, I want to be close to my wife. That difference changes everything. Today I see many men making the same mistake I made. They focus only on performance. But the wife does not miss only that. She misses the present man, the touch, the attention, the confidence, the feeling that there is still a couple there inside. That is why I decided to record this video. Because there's a man watching right now, in secret, in the bathroom or inside his car, believing that his best phase is already over. And maybe he does not even realize he is pushing his own wife away out of shame. I know that shame. I know it so well that I spent years sleeping beside the woman I love while pretending to be asleep. If you want to see exactly what I began using, I left it in the first pinned comment. AlphaVita. Ingredients, explanation, and guarantee. Read calmly. See whether it makes sense for you. And I want to make something very clear here. This is not medicine. It is a nutritional supplement. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. Each man responds in his own way, and some respond faster than others. But in my case, it was the first thing that made me feel I was helping my body instead of just forcing it. A gentleman named Michael from Texas wrote to me saying he was 71 years old and that his wife started holding his hand again while watching television after a few months of taking better care of his health and using AlphaVita. He said nothing exaggerated. He only said, "It feels like my wife started seeing me again." Young men may not understand the weight of that sentence. Old men understand immediately. Because after 70, sometimes the greatest fear is not aging. It is becoming invisible inside your own home. I almost became that. Today, Teresa compliments me again, sometimes for my cologne, sometimes for my shirt, sometimes just because I seem more willing. And every time she does, I remember that man sitting on the edge of the bed, pretending to look for something on the nightstand just to avoid contact. That man was slowly disappearing. and nobody deserves to disappear like that inside his own marriage. That is why I repeat, the link is in the first pinned comment. Not because I want to push anything on you, but because maybe you need a beginning. Maybe you only need to look at the ingredients and realize there are still possible paths before accepting silence as destiny. There is also a 60-day guarantee. That reassured me a lot, because a man our age has already fallen for too many empty promises. So, if you want to see it for yourself, it is there. But do something more important first. Stop running away from your wife. Stop turning shame into distance, because many times she is still waiting for you to come back, even without saying it out loud. Today, before sleeping, Teresa usually leaves the lamp on while she reads, and I no longer stay in the living room waiting for her to turn it off. I finish my tea, go up the stairs, and lie beside her. The other day she touched my face and said, "You look handsome today." At 73 years old, after almost a decade without hearing anything like that. If that is not a second chance, I do not know what is. If you want to sit with me again next week, I will be here. I record these videos on Sundays. Take care of yourself, whatever that means for you tonight.